Difficult. Women.
Back again.
Hey.
Hey.
I don't know.
What up?
Who's over there? Who's sitting over in their box?
This voice is from Marie.
That's good. Are you going to ask me a question?
Oh, sorry.
It's like every date I've ever been.
Sorry. Let me just keep talking about myself. I have a boat and I no, who's that there? Who's talking?
It's Katie. This is Katie. Thanks for asking. This is the Difficult Women podcast.
If you don't know this by now, ask a girl a question when you go on a date. You know, just do that.
If we can teach anybody anything.
If 3 years of this podcast, if the one thing you can take from it is just ask a goddamn question.
Ask a question.
That's so funny. Oh wait, I've been dying to tell you something.
Oh my God, tell me.
Do I look different?
No. What happened?
I shaved my entire face.
Oh, I thought it was a filter. Just kidding.
I mean, of course there's a little filter. No,
so
but
what do you mean you shaved your face?
I had a facial for Christmas. I bought myself a facial, and I had been researching derma whatever, but basically they like scratch the peach fuzz off your face. Because have you ever wondered, like, the girls on TikTok or Instagram, like, their faces are just so, like, I don't understand. I legitly do not understand, like, how people's faces are just so smooth. Because mine, it's there's like hair on it because, you know, we're fucking mammals,
right,
and have hair. But so then I fell down a freaking TikTok wormhole of dermaplaning, and they, you know, you can go and just get it. I mean, everywhere, your whole face shaved. And I was like, so I had a facial, and before we started, I just was consulting with her, and she was like, so, you know, why are you here? And I was like, I'm getting old. What can you do about this? And I also saw on TikTok this thing about shaving your face, and that is not what you should say to a professional facialist. But yeah, so she kind of like studied my face and was like, yeah, I think that actually it would be good, mainly because when you take off the hair, it takes off the first layer of dead skin.
Right.
So then all the stuff that she then could put on my face would saturate in further. And then also all the serums and stuff. And also with makeup, it actually like sits better now in some ways.
Oh, sure. I can imagine.
I mean,
is it grow? How does it grow back?
Well, it's funny. So I had it done like 2 weeks ago, and then I haven't been doing anything hair wise because I'm like, well, it's fine. I shaved my face. I don't have to. So then I was driving the other day, and I looked in the rearview mirror and was like, oh my God, I was like a catfish. Like,
oh,
I had some hairs that, like dark hairs, like a freaking. Yeah. Anyway,
that scares me.
But she did say,
like Chewbacca, the next one.
Yeah, probably. You won't be able to recognize me. But I did really enjoy it, and especially, you know, several, like a week after, it was just really like, I did have people be like, oh, whoa, you look like, are you pregnant? I was like, no, there's no way I'm pregnant, because I was glowing, but it was because of this facial. So I might,
maybe if you just keep it going, then maybe that's a good choice.
Actually, I've made an appointment again for next month. I go to Merrill Norman, that fabulous 80s.
Oh, I don't know.
Remember that
Norman, but
have you heard of Merrill?
It's
like Mary Kay. I don't know.
It.
My mom used to go to it, so I started going. And it's really inexpensive compared to other things. Anyway, I just wanted to talk about shaving your face.
I love it. I have an unpopular opinion.
Okay.
That especially because I got like some peach fuzz, like, right. I don't know how do I do this on a podcast. I'm pointing at it, but it's kind of like on the very side of my face, like kind of not exactly. It's not a beard. It's just sort of like almost like a little bit of peach fuzz that goes beyond my hairline, on my jaw, maybe a little bit, and like, what do you call this, sideburn thing? But then even a little bit, but just a little peach fuzz. I always thought that was very sexy.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if anybody else thinks it's sexy. I thought on myself. I was like, I love this little Perry. Maybe it's the animal side. I like.
Well, see, actually, that's a really good thing that you love that about yourself, because on me, I was like, I didn't. It was just getting like really, at a certain point. But also, I just didn't know that you could just shave your entire face.
Yeah, sounds like a thing.
Just don't. Don't just do it yourself, though. People, I don't know.
You can
I've
buy
asked-
those things, but
I know.
That's probably not a good idea.
I did ask like some girlfriends of mine if they've done it, and they both of them had, and I was like, really? Why didn't you tell me about this? I had no idea. I felt like I'd been living under a rock.
No, I think it sounds like to me the best part of it is just the exfoliation part of it.
And
That's
I mean,
very
she
good.
took like an hour to do it too, because she did all this like shit on there and then started. I don't know. It's very relaxing.
I bet it looks good. I bet it looks. It's hard to tell on Zoom, but you look very. You do kind of look like you have a filter on, but I don't think you do. I think it's just
no, I do. On
your
Zoom,
face
I
is-
have the
you also have
adjusted prayer. Please, one time I did it and I was like, I like hopped on a meeting and I was like, oh my god. My Zoom experiences have been weird because I also play this game with our buddy Holden, and my name on is Gum Guzzler, and so I've hopped on some professional Zoom calls with my name being Gum Guzzler, and I'm like, oh god. I don't think anyone's seen it yet, but I really need to
I love
professional. I'm just not. I'm not a professional. I can't.
Yeah, I have no idea how that works.
Yeah.
Speaking of professional and like life stuff that I don't understand. Today we're going to talk about one of those things.
Yeah.
And that's the economy. Yeah.
Yeah. We love this. But this topic actually, like, I was listening to a podcast in the car about this topic, and I actually started weeping a little bit because it got me excited to know that there actually is a movement. There are real economists around the world working towards this type of living.
Yes.
So let's get into it.
And we were talking about, and not to continue to be cryptic about it, but we had a conversation like, we don't want this to be like a sad topic. And you know what? It's not. It's like really, I also was getting very excited looking into it. Mm-hmm. And what we're talking about today is post-growth economy. Post-growth economy. The idea behind this is basically, let me find the definition on the postgrowtheconomy.org website. And if you want to take a look, it just feels a little bit like they're trying to sell a book, but it's still kind of interesting. Postgrowth.org. Look at me citing my sources. And they say it is, post-growth is a worldview that sees society operating better without the demand of constant economic growth. It proposes that widespread economic justice, social well-being, and ecological regeneration are only possible when money inherently circulates through our economy. That's it. That's the idea. So the idea is that we've been living where we're trying to push the economy to grow. And some economists fear that if we don't do that, then that causes a recession, and then that's bad for everybody, and blah, 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 blah. So there's some pushback about these ideas. But these notions are very exciting, actually, because in a post-growth economy, everybody in the society is taken care of.
What?
What a crazy concept.
Wait, your basic fucking needs are taken care of.
Yeah. Isn't that? Honestly, it's crazy because I think that we don't understand, like that concept is so foreign to us.
Right.
That it seems, I think a lot of people write this off as like, oh, that's not possible. We can't really do that. But they're finding that actually there are potentially ways to be, and So I'm psyched.
When you first sent me this website of post-growth economy, I was like, oh, boring. I was like, okay, what does it mean? But then when you start to dive into it and understand that there are so many books about this and so many people who are kind of like, who have a mission for this, I found this woman, Kate Rothworth, and she did a TED Talk on this. And so she talks exactly about how a healthy economy should be designed to thrive and not grow. And then I think her book, you could, maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, I didn't Google this, but her big thing is a donut economy. And basically, just like a circle. So it's almost like, your healthcare is covered, education, just all your basic needs are met. But it's like the earth and the humans live in harmony. And what she said, which I found fascinating. So she has a circle, donut economy. She said that in other past ancient cultures, they also had these symbols. And so, and it's like the sweet spot for humanity to thrive. And so, the dynamic balance of like yin and yang, that symbol, the Buddhist endless knot had that. And then the Celtic double spiral. So it's like she was saying that like it has been done in past ancient cultures, and knowing that like you can only live as far as what the earth can provide you.
Right.
Which is like,
right.
Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. But unfortunately, she was talking about, which I'm not very familiar with at all. It's actually, I feel really stupid even saying this, but like what GDP is.
And gross domestic product.
Right. And so that was invented in 1930s, and that's how that's how we've measured economic growth since then and continue to. And I feel dumb because I hear that all the time, GDP on the news, but I never actually knew what that stood for and why that was so important. And that is, honestly, it's just like all the economists saying, like, they're just measuring the growth of the economy. And if the growth of the economy is not continuing to grow, then we're not doing our job in capitalism.
Right. Well, and that's one thing that actually stood out to me too, because, like, again, as someone that really doesn't know much about economics, or I don't know, and we should all know more about it. They should teach it more in school and stuff too. But that idea that, like, this measurement, that GDP measurement, it's not like it's been around since Jesus was born. It's like it was introduced in the 30s, late 30s.
Right.
So it's like there are other ways to measure. And honestly, pre-1937, a lot of the workers were compensated better. And there was stuff like that. And as we've talked about before in this episode, in this podcast, it was in the 80s when they started doing trickle-down economics that there was a really strong growth disparity in wage gap disparity, because when they really decided, like, okay, we're going to really push this GDP number, we really want the growth to happen. How do you make growth happen? Well, you use up all your resources, and then you also try to pay your employees less to make your profit margin higher. That was like a thing they started doing. So, like, this just system is not sustain. The big point is what we're doing now is not sustainable. Right. It's just on any level, whether it be environmental, whether it be within a societal collapse kind of way, whether it be even within the economy itself, it's not sustainable, because there's going to be like a bubble burst or collapse of some sort, again, stuff I don't know a lot about, but you can see it. Like, I don't have to be an economist to kind of know logically that the system isn't working. So the idea behind this post-growth economy is that we basically get rid of capitalism, right?
Yeah. That's capitalism.
Because we know that we are not, we struggle with that notion a lot. There are some other suggestions so that we don't fully dismantle capitalism and we try to work with capitalism. There's this idea of this more sustainable way of having the economy function, which is through like a more, I think they call it like the green economy. And the idea behind that is it's like still capitalism, but we invest in like, instead of like oils and fuel to fuel and stuff, but we do invest in solar, and the infrastructure that comes with that, like that creates jobs because we have to build the infrastructure. Even things like trying to go back and like really insulate homes better. That's better for the environment. People's bills are lower. We use less fuel because we're not wasting heat out of the buildings. That creates jobs because people have to go in and insulate. So that that is like a way to, even that movement is positive, right? Because we're at least trying to, the other part of this is moving away from a like product economy where we're like buying cheap items and moving towards a service economy. So like the people start spending money on, massages and facials and stuff, and less on, buying that sweater or whatever. A side note, I read this article in the New Yorker, I think it was, that was talking about economy and what's happening, and should we be worried, and what's really going on, and what are the problems. And they were saying that some argue that this, where we're kind of at right now, has been okay. We're not going to be able to sustain it, but it's our economy has been doing pretty good even without a lot of growth, and you can tell because people are spending more money on service things. So they'll go out to dinner, they'll go to get their facials and stuff, and they're not just like desperately trying to survive. Now that we also know that not everybody in the United States is able to do that right now though either. So this idea of like trying to move towards, services and stuff is all well and good if everybody can participate, right? But so that's sort of one of the problems with that. Anyway, that was just a side thought that was popping up that I thought was interesting. So let's say you're like, okay, well, this post-growth economy, it's never going to work because of this and that. One of the things that are that people don't like about this post-growth or degrowth, this idea of degrowth, where we're not trying to grow the economy, but we're allowing it to kind of like settle in and
be
not
a donut, just circulate. It's
be a donut. Yeah,
like city. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Some people that don't like that idea is that they say, well, because you're not going to be like trying to be making more products, right? The problem with that is actually in these other countries where their economy is very bad, they've actually gained a lot from us having this like very capitalistic, materialistic society, because countries like China and even America have turned to these other countries for labor, which has in turn brought more money to those countries and helped their economy. So if we stop being capitalists like we've been, it could potentially hurt other parts of the world. So that's something that we need to consider, because we don't want to just like fuck everybody over. The idea is we're trying to help everybody here. So there was sort of a theory with that. Was one of the ways you deal with it is that in society you actually lower in a society that has a lot of economic growth right now, you lower the hourly requirement to work to like 21 hours a week. You give people like guaranteed jobs, so you make sure that everybody's guaranteed to have a job, but I guess they work less. And then you do the what's that called, universal basic income.
Yes.
And then for a place where a low income country, you let them sustainably continue to grow whatever way they need to for the economy, so that they can come up and at least get to a medium level, so they're not just in abject poverty. So there's sort of different, for this to work, there's sort of like different models for depending on where you're starting from. So I thought that was interesting, because I was like, oh, well, fuck yeah. Like fuck everybody over.
I didn't want to go back to the GDP, but
yeah,
I thought
sorry,
this was...
I totally derailed this because I got excited.
No, that's very exciting. I was just excited to share this one quote about the GDP that Robert Kennedy had said, which I think, maybe he said this in like the 90s or something, but that the GDP measures everything except what makes life worthwhile, which I think that these people in leadership knew that that's not really how to have a successful, for humans to thrive.
Right.
But it is how to... I mean, nowadays, too, the people that are actually making most of the profits, as we know, are the 1%. So they would not want this post-growth economy, because they're the ones that are capitalizing on all of this type of, the way that we are continuing to live. But what's exciting is that there are certain communities right now that are doing this post-growth kind of economy. And this woman was saying that that Nepal and Ethiopia have kind of, they're just living off of what the means of the earth can provide their communities, and they're actually seeing a 7% economic growth per year, which is interesting. And then also, so this TED Talk I said with Kate Raworth, she said that actually, so like obviously with this type of lifestyle, you're putting boundaries on humans. You're saying like, this is what the earth can provide. This is what humanity should be allowed to then thrive rather than grow. And she's saying that boundaries are actually really great to have, because then it allows better creativity to grow and to thrive. And she was saying, like, just giving examples of like Serena Williams, like you give her a tennis court, she can thrive in that way with that type of boundary, or like Jimi Hendrix with his 6-string guitar, or Mozart with his 5-octave piano. Like, but just giving those confines actually could really help people get creative. And I think that with the way that we're continuing on, it's like, I do feel like we're just still like throwing pasta up against the wall. Like we're just still trying to, like, we know how to make money fast, and that's the people and leaders, that's how we're just going to continue on.
Well, and also the idea that like somehow making money fast is more important than the environment, or more important than,
or just taking care of
the humans that are living on the planet. Yeah, I think that's what's just so crazy about our current capitalist structure, is that like it really doesn't care about people. It cares about it, like only is there to take care of the business itself, or to take care of the economy itself. So it's sort of like, and we're so used to living in that world in that way that it's going to be kind of a challenge, I think, to kind of get people on board with this idea. But that was one of the things that they were saying at the end of this article. This guy, Raworth, I don't remember who he was. It's fine. You can look it up if you want. But he says, reversing consumerism's financial and cultural dominance in public and private life is set to be one of the 21st century's most gripping psychological dramas, because we're used to buying things. We've been told, we've been conditioned since we were born, for sure, that like you're only worth something if you own a Toyota, or you're only worth something if you have a big house. And what this basically says, and this is the part that might scare people a little, but it's all going to be good, you guys. In a post-growth economy, not only are you limited by the resources that the planet can provide, but also like the idea is that we're going to even things out a little bit. So you're going to have less stuff. You know, you're not going to get 6 cars because you're not going to have the finances for that. You know what I mean? That's just not what our priority is going to be in a situation like that. So it does sort of ask these capitalist, you know, people that have grown in a capitalist world, us, all of us, that like to just say, do you really need the stuff? Do you really need it? Like your personality, your like identity is very tied into this stuff because you've been told, you've been brainwashed to think that you need it, when the truth is like it doesn't make your life better, really. That 6 sweater from Old Navy doesn't make your life any better, you know?
Yeah.
And so we have to kind of also deprogram ourselves a little bit to get on board with this idea, because it is going to be, I think what people will realize is that they really don't need the stuff and their life is kind of better without it. But we've, you know, that's not what we've been told since the day we were born.
Keeping up with the Joneses.
Yep. And selling us the golden grams or whatever that you have to, you know. So there's a little bit of like a socialism aspect to this that I think can scare people off. But the bottom line is that it's just going to be better for everybody.
It's living in harmony. With the planet. I mean, it's when you, again,
and with your fellow man.
And with your fellow man.
Yeah.
But again,
when
you sent this to me and people might be like, this is so boring. Guys, this is the future. This, like, I want to like send this TED Talk to so many people I know that I may think are just trying to chase down happiness through material objects, because I do think that this is so important to understand the limits of our environment, and also just what a beautiful thing to live in harmony with each other and have everybody's basic needs met. I mean, I'm totally for universal income. Much so.
Yeah. And the other thing too, just to add to that, is that like we're also so conditioned in especially American society that you have to work hard, and that your value is very much tied to like how hard you work and where you work, and yet like that's all crock of shit too, we know now, because people are working 60 hours a week and they still can't pay their rent and they can't take care of their families. So like this is not sustainable either. It's not working. So even, you know, fuck the environment. It's just not a sustainable way for humans to live. It's not a what you know, when you start to get kind of, you know, what is the word, sort of existential about it, you're like, what are we here for?
Right.
You know, are we here to make money for Amazon?
Right.
Is that what we're here for? And again, aside from the environment, on a daily basis, do you really want to be spending 60 hours a week flipping burgers or whatever it is you do for your living, or, you know, making streets or whatever, when there's a better way? And it doesn't mean that stuff won't be getting done. So the important stuff will be getting done, like infrastructure building or being a teacher or being a nurse, or, you know, those are the important things for society. But you also shouldn't have to spend more than 20 hours a week on that stuff. But if we're all doing it, then we should be fine.
Right.
But and then that'll give more time for art and enjoying your life and living like a human.
Right. The fact that we're not harnessing the sun more in every single home, it just blows my mind.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it's unbelievable that we're not investing doubly. I mean, I know Biden really is trying to do more of a solar type thing, but with his infrastructure bill, but it's like the fact that it's taken this, and even with cars, and like the other day when I was filling up my car, I was like, God, this is just the fact that we can and do have electric cars, but yet we're still just paying so much money to fill up our cars with gasoline
and ruining the environment.
When we can absolutely have the other option, but yet,
and that's because there's oil and because oil companies have like a monopoly on like the government and like they're in cahoots to like make
they are
more
running
money.
The government, they make money. It's absolutely absurd. I have to say this one story real quick, I mean, it's a silly story, but so the other day I was trying to order a little art kit for a friend for a Christmas gift, real simple, like I just wanted like a drawing pad and some pencils and stuff. I Googled it, and of course Amazon was like that's all that came up to like order, and it would have been so easy, but it was like the kit that I wanted was like $35 or something, knowing full well that there's a local art store less than a mile from me. So I was like, number one, I had the time, so I understand why people are doing Amazon, because they don't think they have the time. Let me just tell you, I had the most pleasant experience going to the store and having human interaction with the salesperson. This woman was so kind, so helpful. I explained to her what I was looking for. We had a really nice conversation about how their store was actually blown over. It was totally destroyed because of the tornado last year. And now they've rebuilt this art store. It's a local art store that has been there for years. And it just felt so great to be supporting a local store that actually needs humans to be going there and spending their money there. And in the end, my point of the story is in the end, I signed up for their email list. I got 20% off. I got more for it was like that ended up being $23 for tons of things. Right. So in the end, it was cheaper to go to this local store than to order from Amazon. Time-wise, maybe whatever. I spent 10 minutes there. What is that? I just really, and we talk about this all the time, but just please, when you're looking for something, just for 1 second, think, is there a local store in my neighborhood that I can go to and actually like support a local business rather than, 10 minutes or 20 minutes out of your day. Maybe you don't have that. Maybe you're a mother of 3 and you're working 3 jobs and Amazon is like saving you. That's fine. No judgment. I'm just like, if we're going to be talking about this like donut economy, we're going to talk about this like post-growth economy, we have to then actually support our local stores.
Yeah. And
that's my
also
rant.
Like,
and it was, I ended up thanking her. I literally looked at her with my N95 mask on. Thank you so much for this human interaction. And we kind of like made eyes of like, like it felt so good. So I just encourage people to support locally.
Yeah, and and again, like if you're not working 70 hours a week for $5 an hour, you can have time to do that. Right. You know what I mean? Like that's this. It is a the donut thing is good because it is like a cyclical. What am I saying? cyclical thing where like what it's not just I don't know. Yeah, it is everything is connected in that way. Yeah. Well, I want to talk for a second too about like because a big part of what is going to make this work, like we had mentioned before when I was just getting too excited and derailed you. I'm sorry. Is universal basic income. Yes. Oh, so this idea was something that like, of course it sounds great for having to give everybody $1,000 a month, but is it viable? How do you make it work? The answer is viable. Yes, it is. Yeah. And actually, what is his name?
Andrew Yang.
Andrew Yang has a great, like, it's like a 3-minute video or something that breaks it down. And basically, first of all, universal basic income would save us money as a society because we would not be putting money into like homeless, services because people wouldn't be homeless. We wouldn't be putting as much money into police police maybe too, but also like jail systems and stuff like that because people wouldn't have to be committing crimes and doing drugs because they're living in poverty. And also for the ER and stuff like that, ER services wouldn't be killing us because people would be actually getting health care that they could pay for and be taken care, have that being taken care of for them. So we wouldn't have all these like crazy random medical expenses popping up. So it saves us money overall anyway. And then in addition to that, you're like, well, how do you make it, how does it sustain itself? Like, where are we going to get the money from? And the bottom line is that we don't tax these big companies.
Right.
We don't tax Amazon. We don't tax Facebook the way, they're evading taxes. So we have to crack down on some of that. The way he says it is, he calls it an added value tax. I have to look more into that. But the idea behind that is basically you're giving every person out there a small slice of Amazon, a small slice of, the money that Google makes from their searches and every Facebook ad and all that. And you get that money back because you've participated in the whole, I don't know if this is what it means, added value tax, but you've added value to the service. So you should be able to get that value back, which is basically just a tax, right? Taxing these companies that are not paying their fair share. And then if that seems like impossible, or like why would a business want to pay an added value tax? Well, he makes this great point that there's a state right now in the United States that already has been doing this. They've already been doing this for years, and it's in Alaska. And every year in Alaska, people get about $2,000 a year. He would say you get more. And they do an added value tax on oil companies. So they're getting that money. So he's like, why? The oil of the future is really technology. So why would we not be taxed? Yeah, what are we doing? These people are not paying taxes hardly at all, very little anyway.
It's insanity. It's only because they have power and they're making the laws, but...
Right. And I guess the idea with this is where I don't know much about this stuff, but when we say tax them, there's different ways you can tax people. So you could do like a federal income tax or something like that. And that money, I guess, would go just to the government, and then the government would figure out where they're going to allot that money. Okay. I guess when you say added value tax, that automatically means that, no, that money is going to go back to the people for sure. That is why we're calling it this, so that we're clear that this money is not just going to go into the military or more military spending or something, that it actually is going back to each individual. So then he was like, that would be an easy way to fund this. And this is, I guess, maybe part of the donut idea potentially, but that like the idea is that then if people have more money, they will spend it. So like, so
pull us out of this recession,
and they'll spend it on Amazon, right? So Amazon will get their money back, and then we get more money back from Amazon. So it's like, it's gonna be
a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And if people, and the other thing that we have to like acknowledge here too is that everybody wants people to work and all this stuff, and they want to work for nothing and blah, 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 blah. Well, robots are fucking coming, you guys. The robots are coming, and then we're going to be finding ourselves. It's this idea that this is not sustainable what we're doing, because things are changing. So like when everything becomes automated,
right, we're going to have
so
universal
many
income
jobs.
Because,
because the people will just be, and the thing is, this is, not to be a doomsayer, but if like we don't make these changes, this is where there's like full societal collapse, because people won't be able to, they're not going to put up with it. They're going to be burning shit in the streets and stuff. Not to get all doomsday about it, but that's what makes this exciting, is that we can prevent that from happening if we take care of people.
Well, I encourage people to watch this TED Talk, because it really did kind of get me totally on board and excited about this donut economy of living in harmony altogether. But it's called A Healthy Economy Should Be Designed to Thrive, Not Grow. It's a TED Talk with Kate Raworth. And then I also, not to be a doomsayer also, but the comments were incredible. Like, so thankful, so like, oh gosh, Kate is so knowledgeable. She puts it in ways, she's so eloquent in the way she explains this. Like, I'm totally on board. I've been against kind of like, this type of socialism type, whatever. So many nice comments. And then the bullying, the fighting, the trolling, the whatever begins. And it just, it makes me, that's the thing that makes me scared. That's the thing that, like, I don't want to spoil anything, but everybody watch Don't Look Up, that movie. It's, I'm hopeful. I'm really actually hopeful to understand that there is a movement that is happening. I am scared that humans are going to fucking ruin it. We're ruining it. We're ruining the party. And it's because...
I'm curious, what were the things, like, what were people's qualms about what she was saying? I mean, I know people are terrified of this concept of socialism. Well, it's just, God forbid.
Yeah, but I mean, it was just a lot of like, one person would say like, absolutely, like our leaders. I mean, they were making somewhat valid points, but like, but one obviously felt like a bot, so like people were attacking that person. But but really of just like this would never happen. Like this is just such like a pipe dream. This is somebody was even slamming like the way that she was talking about how it was creative to have boundaries and like saying that no economy can thrive with boundaries, and then like one person saying you're such a fucking idiot. I mean, it's just
right. So then it just devolves into
so it just
fighting.
evolves into fighting. Yeah.
Well, and I think the boundary thing is actually, again, I don't know a lot about economics, so I know that there's people that are from a traditional economic background that really feel strongly against this. But I also know from being a human that people love to say, oh, you can't do that. You can't do that. It'll never work. It'll never work. And then when you do it, it does work. It works. You can make things work. So you have to put the effort in and stuff. So
these ancient cultures have understood this philosophy for thousands of years. So
because the alternative is that we all die. I mean, that's why, you have to have the balance. And that's why, like, I liked what you were saying about that yin and yang thing. It's like, because like people that are not slaving away 40 million hours a week at in the factories of Amazon have time to stop and go, oh, this is what life is really about. You know what I mean? But if you, and again, like you said, the top tier people don't particularly like this idea because they want to keep making money, and for what? I don't know, but they want to keep making money.
I get their 17th home, Katie.
So what? Oh yeah, their 17th home. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
But for what? I mean, like, I think that's, again, I think the biggest challenge for this will be that they're going to make it seem like we're all going to have to make a big sacrifice for this. Like, how people don't want to give out handouts and they don't want to give forgiveness for student loans because they feel like it's not fair and blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, it's actually going to be better for everybody. But yeah, you may not have 1 million t-shirts or whatever it is, but you're going to find you don't need 1 million t-shirts.
They do not fill that hole inside you. They do not. All that shit, all that stuff. When you die, you cannot take it with you. Your children or whoever, your friends have to go and fucking clear that shit out and figure out where to put your shit. So
and it goes into a dumpster, and then it goes into a landfill, and then it contributes
goes into the oceans, and then it goes into our
it's
brains, and then it causes cancer. Yeah, so it's stuff.
And I get it. Like, I like stuff. I like buying
Katie,
crap.
what did you just buy over Christmas?
I got a turtle. You're like my turtle, which just poops. The turtle poops.
Yeah, she got the number one child's toy that was like sold out everywhere, but she got it.
I got one, and we watched it on Instagram.
I know it's really fun.
And what a fucking waste, though. I mean, I get it.
It's we're not talking about the unicorn that poops, okay? Or is it a llama? What is it?
It's a turtle. It's why it's called a turtle, and it's spelled turd. Oh, see? Isn't that hilarious?
Wow.
It's pretty great.
It's pretty great.
I mean, if we're going to go down, I'm going to go down with a turtle. Pooping turtle. Yeah. But I mean, we don't need that. I didn't need that.
Yeah.
My life isn't actually better. So but again, like, I get it. My point is, I get it.
Yeah.
But we can survive without more stuff.
Yeah.
I will be fine without I will just get a real turtle and watch him poop. It'll be fine.
Or eat
Same
him.
Thing.
When the apocalypse happens, you can eat the turtle too. You will have food. Yeah. Anyway, I love this. I love this topic, and I love how excited we both got for it. And we hope that our listeners also, like, just take for a second. Fuck it. Like, just think. Let's all be critical thinkers about how we can live better in this world together.
Yeah. And like we had said in the New Year's episode too, it's like, I'm excited because I do think even what she's saying about boundaries, right? Like, we're living in a boundary now because we're going to run out of shit. So like, whether we like it or not, we're going to have to deal with our boundaries and our limits. And what comes out of that, we know, is creativity. Like she said, it's true. And I think that this is just one more, we got to think more creatively about how we're going to continue this society. And this really, I don't know. When I talked to that tree last summer, that tree told me that there is like a way to live on this planet where it's like, we're still modern, it's still cool, but it's also sustainable. It's totally doable. Totally doable. I'm excited.
2022 babies.
Yeah, tell your friends, talk about post-growth economy or even the green economy. See what try to talk
the
people
donut economy. Get in there.
Donut economy, get in there. Yeah, have a donut.
Yeah, yin and yang. Yeah. The Celtic knot. I love it. All that. Yeah, it's great.
Cool.
Go forth and be merry.
Yep.
I don't know.
Don't spend too much money.
Yeah. Okay. But if you do want to spend money
on a small business like ours,
We don't make much off of our merch because we did only choose eco-friendly, recyclable goods to be able to sell to you all. So please, difficultwomenpodcast.com, go to our merch, buy stuff, please.
Yeah, or buy stuff or your local art store or whatever.
Yes,
all that stuff.
do that.
Yeah.
Cool.
So do spend money, but
just thoughtfully.
Smartly, yeah, exactly. Or get a facial and shave your face off. Sounds good.
Face off.
Face off.
Inside joke. Okay, goodbye.
Bye.